Okay, I heard probably one of the craziest stories I've heard in a while when I turned on the TV last night and caught the end of a program. It was about a lady, and she was an elderly lady. This happened a few years ago, but she wasn't like super young when it happened. And she had a job where she would take these dogs into prisons on a regular basis and I think help the prisoners work with these dogs or something. It didn't give a lot of detail, and I missed the beginning part. The crazy part was that while she kept returning to a particular prison, she kind of started falling for this particular inmate. Okay. Now, she did have a husband and some children at home. And what they ended up doing is she and this inmate ended up hatching a plan where she would actually help him escape from prison. And within 6 weeks, they decided they were madly in love with each other from her previous visits to the prison. And they had a plan where he lost over 20 pounds so we could fit in one of her dog kennels. And she smuggled him out of the prison. And they had this getaway car that she drained all of her savings. They had this getaway car. They went up into the mountains to this place. And they had 2 blissful weeks, I guess, where she was like, this is why I did this. I've never felt more loved, more cared for. But of course they had made a mistake, and the police did end up finding them and chasing them down, and they both went to prison, and her whole life was ruined. Like, her husband divorced her kids wouldn't see her, and she had a lot of like penance to pay, so to speak, which she felt really bad about because she literally had decided she was going to abandon her family. Now, the person giving the interview was like, I am sorry, but this sounds insane. Like, who does this? Anybody listening to this is going to be like, how could you put a prison inmate above your own family? Like, what was going on? And I found this to be fascinating because she said, I just felt so invisible in my own home. I did have a husband. It didn't seem like he cared whether I stayed or go. It just didn't, it stayed or went. It didn't seem like he mattered, like it mattered to him that I was even there and that we had a marriage. And she said, I'd been feeling invisible for so long that to finally have someone pay attention to me, it was intoxicating, and I couldn't, these were her words, I couldn't stop the motion of what was taking place. Okay, now I think most of us would be like, you've got to be kidding me, like, who does that? And I am sure that this sweet lady did not in any way ever think that she would do that in her life, right? She didn't set out on a mission to get married, have kids, and then one day go and run off with a prison inmate and help him escape and then end up in jail. Like, she would never have seen that coming. This is how powerful our emotions are. We literally do everything we do because of how we feel. She was feeling invisible. She was feeling like nobody cared. She was feeling like she was doing all of the things that moms and wives do and was getting nothing in return. What's very fascinating is when they talked to her husband after the whole event, he said, I didn't know she felt that way. I had no idea. I thought things were fine. Okay, so does this happen in our own relationships? Yes, right? Have you ever in a relationship, whether it's relationship with your spouse or even sometimes with your kids, felt so invisible, felt so unloved, unappreciated? You're doing all the things. Nobody seems to care. You feel like you could just walk out the door at any time and nobody would even care. They wouldn't even blink their eyes. They wouldn't even miss you. Like, we start to tell ourselves these stories. And here's what I've learned. A long time ago, I would get really frustrated with my husband. And I'd be like, look, we've been married long enough. I feel like you should kind of understand. Like, when I give you these certain cues and signals and body language and whatever, you should know that this is how I'm feeling. And this is what I want you to do when I'm feeling this way. And my husband was like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, I've learned it's not his gift to the world to be able to be super intuitive. And that's okay. And I used to kind of be upset about that. I'm like, come on, clue in. Because I feel that I myself am a super intuitive person. And I'm always trying to read a room and read people's emotions and respond accordingly. He doesn't do that. So I used to get super frustrated with him, right? I'd be like, are we one or not, right? Because I felt like I could read his emotions and he wasn't very good at reading mine. And he would say, honey, if there's something you need from me, I just need you to tell me. And I'd be like, I don't want to tell you. What are you talking about? You should just know. Can you relate to this at all? Have you ever done that with your spouse or even with your kids? I'm like, when you see me acting this way, you know something's wrong. So don't do that and don't do that. And what you should do is this. And we have all these expectations of how we think other people should feel based on their reading our emotions properly. And when I even say it out loud like that, doesn't it seem a little bit crazy? I mean, doesn't it seem like we're expecting a whole lot of other people? I mean, how good are you at doing that for others? Not only that, but is it your job to do that for other people? And is it their job to do it for you? No, it actually isn't. I think somewhere along the way, as we grew up, we got this notion that we are responsible for other people's feelings, for their happiness, right? We're responsible. And if we say or do things other people don't like, then we need to fix that. Are you with me on that? Here's the truth. we're all responsible for our own emotions. Nobody else is. And in fact, somebody, my husband, for instance, can do everything he thinks is right. He's like, last time you told me you wanted a hug. This time I go to hug you and you're like, don't touch me. Like, what am I supposed to do, right? He can try to do everything right. And it still doesn't create the emotion in myself that I want, because I am the only person who can create that. Are you with me? Now, listen, I am not about to tell you like to not try as a married couple, or even with your relationship with friends or family members or kids, to not kind of be like, okay, this is what's going on. Like, these are some things that are happening. And so when you see me like this, just, don't take it personally. Just know this or know that. I mean, I think it's good to sometimes rely on a little bit on our families. Like, that's why we have family, to be like, look, I could use some extra support right now. But saying that is different than just expecting everybody else to figure it out, right? Oh, but besides that, when you're relying solely on other people to do or say certain things so that you give yourself permission to feel better, that's a very slippery slope to be on. And you can see why. It's because other people don't know. And more times than not, they will not do and say the right things to help you feel better. Okay, you're the only person who can do that. So how do you do that? This is the mind shift tools that I talk about all the time that are so vital. To be able to do that, you have to have your own back. You have to know how to talk to yourself. You have to recognize what emotions you're actually feeling so that you know what you want to do with those emotions. You have to allow yourself space to feel whatever emotion that you're feeling without judgment. That is a tricky part, because shame creeps in so quickly. We have these stories within our brains that tell us that if we feel that way, we're bad. If we think that thing, that's bad. It's not. It's just a story we're telling ourselves. Anything that you feel is actually okay. And so it's really, really important that you learn how to allow your emotions regardless of what they are. You're jealous? Okay, that's a real human emotion. Allow it for a little while until you're tired of it, and then decide what you want to do instead. Anger, frustration, self-pity, all of these negative emotions, they're not places you want to live in, but they're real emotions that we have as human beings and as women, and it's okay to feel them. Recognize that you're feeling them. Name the emotion. Right now, I am frustrated. Right now, I feel hurt. Because when you name it, you begin to understand yourself a little bit about what's going on. And here's what I love to do. I love to be like, why? Why did that hurt me so much? Why did that bother me so much? And when I'm willing to continue to ask that question over and over, I dig deeper and deeper and deeper until I get to what's really going on. And then I know I can do something about it. How can I do something about a problem I'm not even aware is there? I don't even understand what the issue is. How can I then manage it? I can't. So it takes some conscious effort to allow your emotions, to describe your emotions, to understand where your emotions come from, because they do not come from anything that anybody else is saying or doing. This woman who felt so invisible, it's easy to blame her husband and be like, well, where were you? What were you doing? Blame her kids. Like, didn't you know you were like sucking the life out of her and never giving back? And the truth is, it would be really nice if families were really intuitive like that and watching out for each other. And I highly recommend to teach that, even in my own home. But she needed to tell people, I feel invisible. What can we do about it? Or she is the one who needed to be there for herself more than anybody else, rather than relying on imperfect people who don't even know there's a problem. Are you with me? And she knows this. Like, I was really impressed that she took so much responsibility. They even said, do you blame the inmate? And she said, no, I don't blame him. He didn't make me do this. These were choices I made myself. And she was very forthright, and she did do a lot of work to try to repair damage that she had done. And I was really impressed with that, because that's all that she can do at this point. She can't rewind the tape, right? And I think a lot of times we want to rewind a tape. We want to, like, I want to get that day back, or I want to get that hour back, or that situation back and handle it differently. We can't do that, but that's okay. That's okay, because we're learning from it. But here's my message for you today. You are the one who is responsible for the way that you feel. So if you are feeling invisible in your home, in your marriage, with your kids, if you are feeling like you're pouring out and you're not getting anything poured back in, if you're feeling underappreciated, you're the only one who can do something about it. Yes, I encourage you to tell your family, I'm kind of struggling right now. I kind of feel like invisible, and I'm working through it and trying to figure out why. I just want you to know I'm feeling that way. I would love some support and love in any way you want to give it to me. But it's not their job to fix that emotion, and they can't. Only you can. You have to understand why you're feeling that way. You have to be conscious of what's going on. You have to be willing to be curious and not judgmental. You have to be willing to do the mental work to figure it out. And once you figure out what's really going on, then you can work on deciding what you're going to think and feel on purpose so that you feel better. Nobody can do that for you. Okay, this is work that is vital every day of your life, and it literally will change everything for you. You got this.